Hello everyone, welcome back. Not a lot was achieved today, but some very basic things were achieved, and I feel like some of the other stuff's going to be a little bit easier because some of the basic stuff was set up. So just getting any options to work involved creating a save load system, so I had to do all of that. And right now I don't have the brightness slider. I may put the brightness slider back in. I'll see how I feel. But right now the pixelation doesn't work and the subtitles don't work. But the full screen and the resolution do work. That's what I was able to achieve today. And the best way for you to see it is actually when we disable the full screen. So now we'll click apply. And this is the size of our screen. And we can adjust it now to go to that size. Or we can have it at this size. Interesting how, yeah, because that's the size of my screen, so it fills up the whole thing. But I might add some more resolution sizes. I don't think it's really important. I kind of just want to have it there so that, it works. But yeah, let's go full screen at the smallest resolution. And then new game. But that's basically it. I need to put in a loading screen as well, because as you can see, all the textures take a little bit of time to load in. So that's something I need to do still. Lots to be done, obviously. So, yeah. And yes, runtime does not support whole scene point light shadows. So yeah, there's still some lighting stuff that needs to be adjusted so that it doesn't crash the engine or cause problems. But now that I'm running it in a standalone window, I can use the escape button as I wanted to originally, so that feels a bit better. And I'm thinking I might just scrap this one because yeah, I haven't actually done any work on that one at all. So I'm thinking I might just have like the save game and the load game buttons here and add a bit of functionality of saving and loading the various states in the game. Because I think this game, since it's quite small, there's not too many things that we need to save. We just need to save which doors are open, what keys do we have, what items do we have, which items have been interacted with. So a little bit of stuff to do, but not too much. I actually didn't want to do any saving or loading, but then I realized you can't really make the options menu work unless you actually put some kind of save load feature in. And I just realized it's got that nice sort of heat wave effect on it as well. That's lovely. That looks good. I hope it doesn't look too realistic though. I hope it doesn't stand out against everything else. But I'm sure the pixelating camera will do that. So that's something else I still need to do. And I think I do that the same way that I control the resolution. Let's take a look at it quickly. We'll just look at the pixel camera. Oh, I didn't need to do it that way. Easier to just go into our content blueprints player. Pixel camera. Yeah, you see how it's set to this? So it's working the same way as the resolution. I'll basically have 3 different numbers for this, which I'll decide is going to be ideal, and have those be the low, medium, and high pixelation. So low pixelation will be setting the resolution to one that's not too small, and the lowest one will be a very small one, like, what is it, 320 by 180. Let's see what I mean. Very pixelated. But this is how I'm doing it now, opening it in its own standalone window. So it does have to sort of boot up. But I'm also happy that it does go into the full screen. Because originally it was just playing in that little square in the corner. But yeah, as you can see, it's all very pixely now. So this is kind of what the high pixelation setting might look like. And maybe the other one we had before was the medium. But come to think of it, you know, if the pixelation is just resetting the resolution, but it doesn't exactly reset the resolution, because I know if you manually set the resolution very low, then things like these aren't sharp anymore, they're not clean to read. So because we're still on our high resolution, these are quite clean, easy to read, whereas everything here has become very pixelated. So everything that the camera sees is of a lower resolution. It's upscaled to our resolution, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's basically it. Going to keep the video very short today because not really much. I don't want to show you the stuff because it's all kind of messy. Maybe once everything's all working, we can do that. But also, one last thing. I don't know why I'm loading the game again. It's something that I experimented with when I first started making this, but by the time I started recording videos and showing it to you, I switched it off. But honestly, I couldn't really make my mind up as to whether or not to do it. And that is that we have a little option here for making the whole game black and white. Because actually, when the entire game is all in black and white, it does look pretty cool. It does add its own sort of horror to the game by making everything kind of more like... Because I'm going to add a grain effect, so we might add like... No, you see, some things I want to have kind of related to the logic of the game, so I don't want to have that be adjusted in the settings, like how much grain you see, because the grain will be affected in the same way that we have that static noise in the background. The grain and the static noise will both get louder or more obvious the closer we get to where the end is. But that doesn't look very nice, does it? I wonder what I can do about that. Stop that light from going through the wall like that. This, yeah, it should not be doing that. There's no windows here or anything, so it's a little peculiar. It looks okay from inside, but when we go outside, not really nice. So yeah, not a lot was done today, but it was all pretty boring. But, you know, I say boring, but it was foundational work, I should say. You know, getting some of the basic stuff in, just so that we can... Because this is stuff that I'll find useful for every time I make another game, you know, being able to set that like that. Even though it doesn't really make any noticeable difference, because the game gets downscaled to the 640 anyway. That's why I originally showed you by having the full screen switched off. Obviously we have to have it not be 920. Not have it be 1080, I should say. 1920, not 1080. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. I hope to actually get some 3D modeling done. Get those ghosts in very soon, I think. Once this save and load thing is all working, and the... No, you know, I think that's the next thing, because I had a little attempt at starting it today, but I didn't really have enough time or energy to get my head around it, and that is just making this persistent light actually just flicker a bit. And I basically want to have two numbers. I want to have how long is it off for, and how frequently is it switching off. Because the closer we get to completing the game, like once various tasks are achieved and the difficulty is ramping up towards the end, we want the torch to be flicking off more frequently for longer durations. Whereas when we just started the game at the very beginning, it will be staying on for a long time. It won't flick off very long, it won't flick off very frequently. So just getting a nice looking flicker that I can modulate with those two numbers. I think once that's done, I'll add those enemies in, because pretty much everything else is all in place. We just sort of need to add a trigger for winning the game, and like a screen for winning the game, and a screen for losing the game when the ghosts catch you, and also picking up those notes. This is another type of screen that we display. Well, it's the image that we display. So yeah, not happy with all these errors that we're getting on the screen in reference to the lighting. But I still got to learn a lot about lighting, like the difference between baked and dynamic lighting, all that. I thought if I set it to be baked, then the performance would be much better because it's all prepared beforehand. But I also understand that there are some other parameters involved when you want to bake a light, like it needs to bake inside of a volume so it knows where it's doing the baking, and I haven't set any kind of volume, so we just try to bake an infinite area and take a very long time. So that's kind of why, I think that's why we're getting a lot of those lighting related errors. Anyway, I'll stop waffling now. Thank you all for watching. Not a lot to show you, but we're getting there. So thank you, and bye-bye.